voluntarily, and some of them were there at the suggestion of the county or probation or the courts or whatnot. But either way, it was just such a wonderful program, such a wonderful feeling to be part of a program that is, just supporting dads. And these are guys who want to do it right. And they realize that maybe something went wrong down the road, but they're here to right themselves. We're really proud of the men that went through that program. Can you pull up the slide, Jack? So, happy Father's Day. And I just want to take just a quick second to, go ahead and hit the next slide, just to go through a couple slides. Last month, Unity Men's Retreat took place in Zephyr Cove, and this was our view for the weekend. How cool is that? That was the sunset, but wasn't that a beautiful time there? And then the next slide was that. Okay, I love our little Auburn sanctuary, but can you imagine having service here every once in a while? Isn't that just, that's Pastor, correct me if I'm wrong, Clint, Pastor Ken from Unity of Reading. Unity of Reading, Pastor Ken. And then the next shot, this is your Unity of Auburn contingent, myself on the left, my son on the right. My son is here. Wait, is it my daughter's here too? Hi. Oh, hey. Hey, my son on the right, and then Clint there in the middle. Now, look closely. Now, Clint, looks rugged with his full beard and his flannel shirt and his ball cap on. But look closely. He still has his patented trademark Hawaiian shirt underneath the flannel shirt. So, are you getting another one for Father's Day? How many do you have now? Okay. Go ahead and hit the next slide, Jack. So, superpowers are a fun way of saying we have these strengths, we have these abilities, and certainly as fathers, we have the opportunity to express them. And hit the next slide. But today I want to focus on, the title of the program, Heroes, Dads and Their Superpowers of Encouragement and Comfort, specifically. Are timers on, Jack? They are. Do you need to take a second to turn them off? Okay, all right. So we're going to talk about encouragement and comfort specifically. I didn't randomly choose those. Somebody a lot smarter than me picked those two words, and I'm going to come to that in just a moment. But first, I would like to know, who here is a biological father? Raise your hand, please. Who here is a grandfather? How about a stepfather? Stepfather? Oh, great-grandfathers, okay. Stepdads? Some of my favorites, absolute favorites. How about, what do we have, adoptive fathers? Any out there? Any foster fathers? Any fathers-to-be? Anyone coming along? I'm glad to see my son's hand is still down. Fathers-to-be? How about father figures? Your father figure. I had something interesting happen just a couple years ago. Somebody tracked me down through Facebook, and it wasn't a friend of mine. So I was like trying to dissect the message, go, who is this? I was like, oh. And he said, hey, I want to let you know, I'm married, I'm a family man, I have a wife and I have children, and you were my role model as a father. And I was like, well, that's an honor. He says, yeah, I just saw the way, when you were dating my sister, my older sister, I just loved how you took care of her and how you treated my mom. And I go, that was so cool. And I thought about it, I go, wait a second, I was 19 years old. I was trying not to be a father, much less a father figure, right? So it just goes to show, we are always role models, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, whether we realize it or not. Dads, you are always role models out there. So can the ushers come forward? And those of you that raised your hand, can you please keep it up while the ushers give you a goodie? Actually, it's going to be two of the same goodie, and it's not a mistake. Hit the next two slides, Jack. So the dads are receiving a Super Dad, actually two Super Dad vinyl stickers. Why two, you're wondering, right? Well, you have to wait a few minutes and I'm going to tell you why. I'll give you a hint. One of them is not for you. Are we all good? Okay. So our message today, next slide, Jack, is, Paul wrote in the letters to the Thessalonians, for you know that we dealt with each of you as a father deals with his own children, encouraging and comforting and urging you to live lives worthy lives like worthy of God who calls you into his kingdom and glory. And where is my notes? Because I found this cool blog. I found a cool excerpt from a blog where this blogger was, here it is, and I'm going to butcher her name, I'm sorry, Alison Sakunthang, in her blog wrote about this passage that Paul highlights some of the ways fathers love and lead their children through encouragement and comfort and persistently reminding them to live in a way that glorifies God. She writes, when children try to do something difficult, a good father encourages. When a child is hurting, a good father comforts. Love and lead, encourage and comfort. We're not going to overthink this. Hit the next slide. We're not going to overthink this, but I am going to add just a little complication here to you. So I'm going to talk about how you can encourage your children and comfort your children and lead and love your children. At the same time, I should say at the end of that, we're going to talk about how you can do the same thing for another father whenever you see the opportunity. So I'm going to ask you a question. The next slide. And go ahead and hit toggle it 4 times and then hold there. So what do our children need? Do our children need the playful and silliness direction from a father, or do they need the wisdom and instruction? Oh, there's a hand up in the back. Yes. Both. Okay. Who's going to say both? Who knew the answer? Okay, good. It's absolutely, okay, this is scientifically researched. It's been proven. They absolutely positively need both. Here's where the challenge lies. You know, one of my heroes is, well, Superman, obvious. You'd probably figure that one out. He's on my body and on my car and on my laptop and on every PowerPoint slide in this deck. Another one is Father Richard Rohr. He's written a lot of books and lectured a lot. He's been on Oprah more times than anyone else I can think of. And he talks often about men's work and men's development, spiritual, emotional, relational development. And here's what Father Richard Rohr, and I quote him quite a bit in my book, with permission from his institution, I should say. Father Richard Rohr wrote, for men, some parts of us grew up too soon, and some parts of us never grew up. Believe it or not, they both have something to teach us if we can just trust and let them befriend one another a little bit more. One is called the old man, the senex, and the other is called the eternal boy, the puer aeternus. We need them both. The old man will not change without contact with his eternal boy, and the eternal boy cannot change without the love and challenge of his old man. Now, he's talking about men and being challenged. Basically, they're in usually one camp or the other. They're either very business-oriented or they're very play-oriented. Now, what happens when that man becomes a father is oftentimes they will stay in that one camp and forget about the other one. So I'm just going to explain those just a little bit. Hit 2 slides over. There we go. So the origin of the senex, it's, by the way, this is where we get the word senator. It's the wise old man is an archetype as described by Carl Jung and classic literary figures such as Solomon, Moses, Noah. Can you go back? And profound philosopher distinguished for wisdom and sound judgment. Now go ahead and go ahead and fill this up. So, what's that? Okay. You okay? Do you need to take a second to? Okay. Way to roll with it. All right. So, these are like some of the classical characters that you might recognize. The good news is, for those of you that don't want to shave their head or aren't ready for facial hair or gray facial hair, okay, you don't have to be super intelligent, super wise in any category. The only thing you need to do is just share your wisdom with your children. Now, go ahead and hit the next slide. The reason we ask is, well, why? Well, so they can learn rules and safety, computational thinking, a sense of order, fluidity. Yeah, there's a fluidness to life that has to be learned. Planning and foresight, manual dexterity, and completion of projects. And then the question begs, well, how do we do that? I think some of you guys probably know these are just some examples that I have up there. Tinkering, shopping. You have a list, you have ingredients, you can go down the aisles, you have a budget to stay within. Puzzles, paying bills, making models, household chores, and then reading. Maybe reading more in the line of science and geography and nature and that kind of stuff. So these are just ways that you can impart your wisdom, okay? It doesn't have to be that of a classical literary figure. It can be your wisdom on your child or children. And then, boy, yeah, this is making me talk fast. You sure you can't turn them off? Okay. You'll just toggle as needed then? Okay. So the puer, the playful and spontaneous puer aeternus, sometimes just called the puer, I never know if I'm pronouncing that word correctly, is Latin for eternal boy and is a child man who is forever young, because I know the slide's going to show up quick. What's a classic figure that embodies this description? Peter Pan. Who's heard of the book, The Peter Pan Syndrome? Who's read it, right? It's about the little boy who won't grow up despite the fact that he's the man. In that case, Jack, go ahead and hit toggle, and then there's our fan favorite right there, Peter Pan. So go ahead and hit the next one. So why? Why is this important for children? So they can learn imagination and creativity. Physical coordination, back one. And back one. Yeah. Physical coordination, cognitive and emotional strength, acceptable risks, that's a big one. Boundaries, engagement and interaction. Now go ahead. And then how do we do that? Well, art is a great way. How about playing pretend, making up stories, rolling around in the grass? My favorite, dressing up like superheroes, right, Stone? He didn't have a choice. His bedroom was plastered with the Flash and Superman, and I think we did Buzz Lightyear, one year. And then reading, and this type of reading would be more like the fairy tales, right? And be more the imaginative immersion. So go ahead and hit the next slide. Now, again, kids crave both, and then the question I'm going to ask you is the next slide, is which archetype do you relate to as a father or a father figure? And I can tell you this, that we had, is that David? David, hey, so do you mind if I say who you are? Okay, so David came through the program of Forever Fathers. I invited some of the dads here, and David is here. So do you remember this question? Like all couple hundred guys that went through there, the most diverse background you can imagine, education and vocation and life experience. We would say, I would show them this, say, okay, are you the more business-like dad or are you the more playful-like dad? 100% instantly knew which tribe they were a part of, right? They knew whether they were the more wise, the more business-like, or they knew they were the more playful one. Which one was I, Stone? I was business. Yeah, I knew it right away. I was like, as a matter of fact, I would say, you take care of business and then you follow your dreams, right? In that order. I've softened that tone quite a bit in recent years, but I was definitely, this is business first, business before pleasure. I had to learn that. And the beauty of it is, you know what camp you're in, you know what tribe you are affiliated with, just you simply find a way to immerse yourself in the other one. If you're that perhaps spontaneous, playful one, maybe your children, you need to take the opportunity to have your children understand that you have a wise side, not a wise guy, but you have that wise side that does inform and educate. So you're able to go ahead and balance both of those. Does that make sense? Yeah? Go ahead and hit the next slide. Oh, yeah, this is a bonus tip. I put a note here. Paul didn't even know this. Now, Paul was smart, and he didn't know this because modern research is telling us. But I want to ask you a question. Should we praise our children by giving them titles? Yeah, definitely go back. I don't want to sneak peek at this one yet. Yeah, hang in there, Jack. Do we encourage them by giving them titles? You are so smart, you're so intelligent. Or do we praise them by saying, you try really hard, you give it your all? Or do we do nothing? Which of those three? I won't make you ask, just ponder that one. Well, I heard someone say effort back there because I think he saw the same YouTube video from Dr. Huberman that I saw. So the answer surprised me. So I double-checked it for your sake and for mine, right? I double-checked it, I triple-checked it, and it's been replicated. This research has been verified. It was done by, I think I have the doctors from Stanford listed on the next slide. Go ahead and hit the next slide. And see if you can hold it here for a second, Jack. Yeah, it's Dr. Carol Dweck, PhD, and Claudia Mueller, MD, PhD, from the back of the slide. One more? Yeah. From Stanford did this original paper. Was called Praise for Intelligence. Praise for intelligence can undermine children's motivation and performance. Now, I don't want death by PowerPoint here, so I'll try to keep it very simple. This graph on the left, okay, the bar on the far left, the tallest one, was the baseline for computational thinking of these children. Yes, that one right there. Okay, the middle bar was the control group. They got no feedback whatsoever. The shortest bar was the children that got feedback on effort. I love the way you persevere. I like how you keep trying no matter what. Okay, go ahead and hit the next slide. Look what happens. And the effort, it's hard to tell by the numbers here, but the ones that got feedback on their intelligence, their computational thinking actually went down. The control group stayed basically the same, but look what happens to the group on the far right in the effort. When we tell our children, I love how vigilant you are, I love how you have tenacity, I love how you just don't give up, the computational thinking goes up. But what's even better, 2 points of good news here, what's even better than that is it works in the athletic field too. Same thing. You can tell a child you're a great athlete, the performance is going to be like the bar on the far left. You can tell them, I love how no matter what you keep trying. I love no matter how what you just hang in there. And the better news is this works on adults. Well, I'm not here to talk about that, but ladies, if your gentleman friend or boyfriend or husband is leaving the toilet seat up a little bit too often, maybe now's the time to remind him how good he is at keeping it down, right? Or for example, okay, I'm going to take a breather and I'm going to do a book giveaway here. So, go ahead and hit the next slide. The first book, please understand this is a joke. I have 2 books here. One is called There Are Dads Way Worse Than You. That's a joke, all right? Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, all right, Thanos, and all that. Okay. So, the first book I'm going to give away is There Are Dads Way Worse Than You. You probably know by now, well, I love trivia, and I love Superman. So I'm hopefully maybe we can do it popcorn style, the first hand that I see go up to answer this question. Oh, I already know David knows these answers too. He's back there laughing. We saw Justice League during the premiere a few years ago. What is the name of Superman's dog? Jack. Crypto. All right, he got it. I thought I was going to have to give a clue like Bitcoin or something. Okay, there you go. And a copy of my book. I'm actually going to give one copy. I saw a lending library yesterday, so I'd like to give a copy to the church's lending library. This one's going to be a tougher one about Superman. Fernandez, if your hand doesn't go up, I'm going to be surprised, right? In the current mythology of Superman, right, the current one, he wears the same symbol, the giant emblem on his chest. What does that stand for? Wow. Okay, Jack's hand went up, but you already won once. My son lived with me way too long not to know this answer, so I'm going to go ahead and say David. Hope. Yeah, good job. Why don't you come on up here? I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. Hey, man. Hey, it's good seeing you, man. Good seeing you. There you go.
Thank you.
Do you have a copy of it already?
I don't.
Oh, right, there you go. Very cool. Congratulations. Okay, so we're going to close by talking about the next slide. And bullet point number 2 is encourage and comfort each other. And I can get kind of heavy on this one, so I have to like watch myself. I watch so many men go through the pains of making up for their past deeds and past mistakes, and it hurt. It hurt to watch them struggle so hard because I saw them becoming, or wanting, they knew the man that they wanted to become, they knew the dad they wanted to become, and it just irked me. I think it hurt me, and I think that hurt showed up as anger whenever I would see them being held down by somebody from their past. You know, I went to court several times as a character witness for some of these gentlemen that were going through the program, and they would say, well, they would talk about the past. I said, yeah, I've read about it, heard about it. I can tell you what he is now and what he's becoming, and that's encouragement right there. Hit the next slide. See if I can get through this one without getting choked up. When a man is trying to change for the better, the worst thing you can do is keep reminding him of his past. Please do the opposite of that. And then we had those dads who weren't necessarily being shackled by somebody from their past. They were being shackled by themselves because of their past. And I found this quote, and it's so comforting. Go ahead and hit the next one, Jack. You did the best you could with what you knew at the time. Don't let new wisdom lead you to condemn. Go back one. Lead you to condemn yourself over struggles. Forgive yourself and move forward. And for those dads, it was move forward by, yes, you keep working on reunification. You keep working on bettering yourself. You keep working on getting that family strong. So this is the type of, some of these dads need this type of encouragement. Okay, that's the heavy stuff. The lighthearted stuff, Jack is there's dads out there that they're doing fine, but you know what? They still could use a pat on the back. They could still use hey, an attaboy. They still could use an extra super dad sticker. Okay, so those of you that got 2 stickers, all right, now you know what your assignment is. Preferably today because it is Father's Day, but I'll give you any time during the next week whenever you see a father in your life. It could be your son, it could be your father, it could be your neighbor, coworker, anybody that you think could use a little encouragement. Please give them that. It was a practice we used to do in Forever Fathers too. We could have dads encouraging other dads with a little encouragement card. So now you know what your job is, right? Because we, brothers, should be there for each other always. Okay. On that note, we're going to close with a different type of meditation with the pastor's approval. I asked if we could do a music meditation. It's uplifting, but it's not calming, okay? Please take a moment and enjoy, take about 3 or 4 minutes. We're going to do a music thanks for dimming the lights. A music meditation to a song called Brothers, and it is about men encouraging men.